What's going on, guys, and welcome back. Conquest is officially announced and it is days, weeks away, and today I'll be breaking down everything you need to know about the upcoming game mode, and there's a lot of information going around, so I thought let's go ahead and put it into one convenient spot. Now, this video is going to be broken into two halves, a quick version that's going to recap everything that you need to know, and then I'm going to be joined by Dekkster, and we're going to break down things like the best decks and cards and different information on what you can do to best prepare for the newest game mode. So what is Conquest mode? Now, different from the standard ladder experience on ranked, you'll be entering one of 4 different conquests. Now, in Conquest, players will queue up against other players. There are no bots in Conquest mode. Now, guys, the decks, player experience, and strategy is completely different in battle mode, and this should translate the same into Conquest opposed to what is on the general ladder. Now, you'll start on the Proven Grounds Conquest, and this is going to be free to enter. You can go in as many times as you want, and you'll have to win a one match with multiple battles that consist of 10 cubes worth of health to be victorious. Again, very similar to battle mode that you might do with your friends. Now, this is going to net you in rewards, medals, and we're going to talk more on those later, and it's also going to give you 1 silver ticket. Now, this will gain you access to the Silver Conquest. Now, in Silver Conquest, the challenge is going to ramp up. You're going to need 2 wins, and that's going to net you 120 medals alongside 1 gold ticket. Now, if you look at the graphic here, you can kind of see the line and how this splits up. And my interpretation here is that you'll be getting up to this many medals. And so in this specific example, you'll probably get 60 medals per win. So that if you get a win and then you lose, you do have to start over, but at least you do take away some medals. Now, it is still kind of unconfirmed if we can keep getting medals or if there's a cap that has not been confirmed as of yet. But obviously, you do get access to then the Gold Conquest. Now, gold will be, for most of you guys, the big challenge, the one that's going to be the one that you probably try to win the most. But with the challenge, you're going to get a big reward. Now, this conquest is going to require 3 wins in battle mode without losing. This is a lot harder than you think, guys. And that's going to net you 370 medals, which is a colossal amount compared to the 1 win for 15 medals. And you're going to get 1 infinity ticket. Now, on the last week of the season only, for the most competitive play, you're going to have Infinity Conquest. It's going to open, and this will require 5 wins of Conquest without losing. So this is obviously over a longer period of time. Yes, you can do 1 battle. If you win that, you can come back and do the others later. But if you go up 3 and then you lose, you got to start over. And so this is not for the faint of heart. And definitely, you'll go ahead and get medals along the way. Now, in addition to flex your accomplishment, you're also going to gain an Infinity Avatar, and this is awesome for, like, bragging rights. Everybody you go up against on the ladder or wherever, they're going to see that you beat the hardest challenge in Marvel Snap. And, guys, it has been confirmed. There's no limit on how many different character avatars you can get, so you can theoretically play this with your favorite avatars, I assume, and get that Infinity kind of frame break border for it. Now, lastly, in terms of leagues, if you don't want to go through Proven Grounds and Silver and you just keep on going through Gold, you can spin Gold. You can get Gold and you can go ahead and just go right into Gold and give it another try. For those that, have the disposable income and want to just keep on grinding it, you have that opportunity. But I like that there's unlimited tries to the Proven Grounds. You can get that ticket and then go and try to do it again. Now, I think they did the league portion like perfectly. This is going to be just an insane experience and a lot of fun to add to a daily regimen. Either after you hit Infinite on the ladder, you can go in there, or if you want to just dedicate yourself to Conquest mode as the rewards are pretty legit, then you could do so as well, going through the Proven Grounds and then making your way through the leagues. Now, probably the best strategy here is to go to the gold one, grind that out before the last week of the season, get as many infinite tickets as possible, and then you can have a good stockpile to try to do one of the hardest tasks that we've ever seen by far in Snap, and that is getting 5 consecutive wins without losing in battle mode. Now, we showed a lot on the medals, and those are going to be used as a new currency for a Conquest reward shop, and this is probably what I'm most amped about. There's some insanely good stuff here. Let's break it all down. So here is some of the value. I'm sure some of this is subject to change of what medals can get you in the reward shop. You have a mystery variant for 100 medals. And again, with all these saying kind of like new on them, I think they're going to reset. We don't know if it's kind of a one-time buy or if some of these are going to have multiple purchases. Like the avatar, clearly you can only get once. but 100 for a variant is awesome. You can also get tickets, and so, you know, if you don't want to go through the proving grounds or you don't want to spend gold as the whale or whatever, you can just use those medals and get tickets for more chances to kind of gain your way to even more medals. You can also obviously get currency. There's credits and gold. Those are going to be probably the most expensive because it is currency. Kind of exclusive titles. You have the exclusive avatar. And then, guys, you also have boosters, and it seems like there's going to be kind of a theme as this shop does rotate. And so the first one that was sneaked to us, which I'm assuming will be the same, is the Green Goblin kind of season. So you get this variant that is exclusive only to battle mode. I think that's a really cool thing to have. One of those things, you either get it, you don't, and it looks like you do unlock it with 9 purchases. And they did confirm that there is plenty of ways and opportunities to go ahead and get this card without spending money. It is going to be possible to just grind out the proven grounds and do the gold and the silver conquest enough. Really, I think this is like the core basic concept, and the sky is the limit. There's so much they can add to this shop. There's a lot they can do with this. Just rewarding players in general for playing Snap outside of just like going up a rank or 2 and then losing 4 ranks. I'll be honest, the shop is what really impressed me, guys. Like, anytime I get to play Marvel Snap and then I get rewarded for playing more or better, it's just like a good experience in any game. And there's a lot of good rewards here, like cosmetic, and then also like grinding for currency, which is really cool to see. Definitely going to give me more incentive to play, whether I've already like hit my goal, whether that's like a mystery variant for you on the ladder or infinite status. And it's a new way to get variants and gold. Overall, I think it was a net positive win. So now it is part of the video where I'm going to be talking with none other than Snapster, Dekkster, and we're going to break down Conquest mode and our thoughts and best decks and cards and things that are going to change. What's going on, man?
What's up? I'm hyped for Conquest, dude. It's gonna be a good time.
Dude, it surprised me. It definitely, I had decent expectations for it. And even with like the very little information we got, I feel like we found out like a lot more about it and everything. I don't think there was anything I thought was negative about it.
Yeah, no, I'm impressed so far. If they keep like what was in that shop as it was, I'm worried they're gonna like tweak the numbers, but you get a lot of points, you can get all these variants and stuff, so it's looking way better than I had anticipated. I was a little bit scared, but I'm feeling better, feeling hyped.
I feel like what they did the best is there's a very dangerous territory of being able to play unlimited times, paying, but then you get resources back. It's like a hard thing to balance. I know Hearthstone got feedback on that area in plenty of times, and so I feel like they did a good job. Like, if you don't want to pay money, you go to the proven grounds. You gotta work your way up, and
just
then
grind.
if you're a whale, or if you're like, I'm not doing those, you pay gold.
Time is money, right? So you can just start at proving grounds and grind your way up and just do that once a day. I feel like that'd be a lot of fun.
It's only 1 win too. 1 win and then 2 wins and 3 wins. That's not bad.
Yeah, so 5 wins, and it costs what, 300 gold to buy a ticket or something?
Yeah, 500. It's
I
not
don't
too
know.
bad, and then you get more medals. And so I want to go ahead and those, I guess, were good, like, initial thoughts. So I wanted to break down the leagues for people, our thoughts on, like, kind of that process, how it's going to work. Compare it maybe to Hearthstone. That's where you came from. So with Arena and what maybe best practices and things that you did. And then probably what a lot of people are going to want to hear about this is like the best decks that we think are going to be consistent. It's a lot different than ladder, as well as cards that are better in battle mode in general. You just came off of, Twitch Rivals, the champion over here of Twitch Rivals. So it was kind of like a mini Conquest in a sense, yeah?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, we ran 5 matches. I guess I did 6 back to back. It took like 6 hours. My God, but yeah, it was a good time.
Good stuff. So let's go and start there. Let's start with decks that we think are going to do well, or which decks you plan to play. I think who this hurts the most is people like me and you. We play a new deck every day, and so some of the decks we play are experimental, whereas others are probably a bit more try-hardy. Right off the bat, like, how are you going to approach it? Maybe if you're going like in the infinite level, what decks kind of stand out to you?
What I think people don't realize is the meta for battle mode, which is going to be Conquest, is very different than what's for ladder. So what you want to take for ladder, you might just look for something that, I don't know, gets a quick 8-cuber, but battle mode is played differently. They're like long and drawn out. You learn your opponent's deck. They know what cards you have. They know if you have a Shing or not. They're able to play around that. They know if you have a Killmonger or not, or a Claw. So unless you like lose 8 cubes off the bat, which generally you try not to do, yeah, it's a whole different ball game. So just these super strong, consistent decks that have really good win rates, I feel like that's what people are going to gravitate towards. And I'm thinking Patriot at the moment is just cracked, along with High Evolutionary Lockdown.
More catch-all decks and consistency. I think those are the two biggest things, as you were alluding to. Patriot, yeah, definitely. I have Patriot on my list of decks that I think are super consistent. But here's some of the other ones that I have that I'm curious to hear your thoughts. So I feel like Sarah Control obviously is like top of the ladder because of its wide gap range of decks it can handle. I think that's still going to translate. Yeah, I mean, having a counter card is almost imperative if someone decided to play Hela, let's say.
Yeah, I think Sarah Control is going to be another really good performing deck, top contender. I think might get a little bit scary if they wave you and you're playing Sarah Control and you just can't really put enough power on the board to do anything. So all that really matters, but definitely a good choice.
Yeah, so like I think like a kind of a wide Sarah Control, like if you go like this and it's like kind of all in on these small cards, like yeah, you could a wave is just gonna end you. Whereas like maybe you throw in like a Magneto, you throw in something that's just like kind of on the top, it might feel a bit better.
Yeah, I was gonna say something really cool about battle mode. Again, it's very different than ladder. You might play one game, it might just be for 2 cubes or something, and you find out, oh, they have wave. So from that point forward, you're thinking, my opponent's going to wave on 5, so I'm not going to Sarah on 5. On 5, I'm going Mysterio, Kitty, and Hitmonkey or something like that, just to play around it. So you start learning each other's decks. Like I was taking notes during Twitch Rivals of like which cards they were using. I mean, we have deck trackers for that, but learning, there's a bunch of like a information gathering sort of segment of it, which is really fun. But yeah, just being able to adapt, play around your opponent's stuff. So
and odds are like if they have wave on that first battle, they're gonna do it at first, and like I'm sure a lot of people are gonna know you're playing Sarah Control, but like at that point, if they don't snap and it's turn 6 and you see the wave, like probably just retreat that battle or whatever at that point, and then going into it, yeah, you now know drop the Hitmonkey Mysterio turn 4, like get these things out quicker turn 5. Yeah, so that's a great point. So I still think Sarah Control is going to be good. And for those that don't play this deck a lot, like this is a good one to practice on the ladder because I think it's a great deck, but like the casual player can struggle because the whole purpose of it is to counter, and you need to know what you're playing. And so I think like leading up to Conquest, which is a couple weeks, this is the deck that I personally would try to get a little bit better at. So Sarah Control, either Patriot Lad, Patriots, just like, dude, it blows my mind how good, just good old reliable Patriot still is. Like, it's still so good.
Yeah, I think it's just because you get really deep into the battle meta, and it's like, okay, someone's going to bring Wave, and then Wave kind of just like counters everything. So how do you beat Wave? You play Ultron or Doom on the final turn, just spreads things everywhere.
Yep, for sure. What about any other kind of juicier picks or things that are good in ladder that you don't think will be as good maybe in this mode? I think Ramp is probably still going to be pretty solid just because the wide variety of Ramp cards that you have. I don't know about Sandman Ramp, but like good old Ramp, probably.
Probably just good old Ramp. I think Sandman has fallen out of popularity quite a bit. It's just not that good. Especially, I keep bringing up Wave, but it's like, you might as well just Wave on 5 instead of playing Sandman. Because, yeah, there's almost no points.
So this is kind of the untapped side. If you haven't seen, this is a good snapshot of the decks that are performing well. This is from 60 to Infinite at the more competitive levels of play. And so Sarah Control... Bounce, I think, is another good contender for sure. You have so much variety and you can change your decisions, which I think is the biggest thing.
Yeah, I mean, and if you just happen to have Shang-Chi and they're playing a bunch of big cards, you kind of just win that whole battle. Or if you end up bringing Enchantress and they're running a Dino deck, it's like you're gonna win. So I think Sarah Control is just going to be across the board very good. There might end up being some sort of hybrid between these that just emerges in Conquest mode. So it'll be interesting.
It's gonna change. It's gonna change a lot, and like you're gonna have to have cards like Jeff, because if they do play the Professor X Lockdown, like it's gonna be rough. And I do think Control will still do solid in there. Galactus. So why I think Galactus is just gonna be popular in the lower tiers. Why don't you think he'll be in the kind of the Infinite tier or Gold even?
I mean, he's kind of easy to counter. I mean, he's really frustrating to play against, and against ladder or on ladder, you're losing 1 cube here, 2 cubes there. But if you're doing a battle mode and they expect Galactus coming up, it's relatively easy to play around, but you just need to have, I don't know, maybe a well-timed Cosmo or a Green Goblin or Debris generally, which ends up tying back around to Patriot. If you're running Patriot, you run Debris, and then you can counter their Galactus, which is what, I mean, I did in Twitch Rivals, right? It's like I pretty much just won that battle because I had Debris and he had Galactus. Yeah. If I didn't have Debris, then I probably couldn't have won.
Yeah, and on the flip side of that, like if they have Spider-Man Galactus, it can be tough if you didn't have the right cards, but most of the time, like Polaris, there's some cards you just probably need to like earn a spot without quite. It's going to feel so bad, dude. If you're on Infinite and you're 4 games in, you've sweated so much, and your 5th matchup happens to be a Galactus deck, and you just didn't, like, oh man, there's going to be some frustrating, moments.
It's going to be entertaining to watch.
Dude, five wins against competitive players, and there's no bots. It's gonna be tough.
And is this in a row?
It's in a row. So the way that I understand it is, if you get 4 and you lose, you're back down to 0.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be exciting. But yeah, that's gonna suck. It's gonna suck.
Like, people keep forgetting this is against the best of the best. So it's like, there's so much that can go wrong. I mean, I guess that's why it's good. It's full matches because you can retreat and it's the health system. But at the same time, like, again, if I'm like climbing up, it's only the last week too.
Yeah. I mean, if you're queuing up and you have an infinite ticket or whatever it's called, you're going to be playing against the best. You're not playing against rank 60 players or rank 70 players. You might be playing against Cozy Snap, one of the GOATs, you know, or you might be playing
get a free
against Kripparrian or someone like that, you know. So it's scary. In Hearthstone, you generally advise people who aren't very good to not partake in the higher expensive stuff because they're not going to win. The skill difference from an infinite player to like an Omega player is very high.
So this is what I can, what I wanted to talk to, being in a couple tournaments, and like like before Rocks and Hawks was a thing. That's the deck that I used in the Thanos meta, and everyone thought I was a wild. I think you did a couple off meta decks too, and it was just Thanos decks back when he was at the top, right? And I ended up doing really good because I knew people were going to play Thanos decks, and I played my Darkhawk. So I think one thing that's cool about Snap is because of the OTA updates, and because of I feel like a little bit more of a diverse meta. If you only play one style of deck, people are going to anticipate that deck going into the infinite ladder, and then you can kind of, if you play off the beaten path a little bit, I think that's going to be better than just playing like the, net deck.
Yeah, so I mean, if you're expecting everyone to be playing High Evolutionary because it's the best deck, you just throw in a Luke Cage. Yeah. So everyone's going to be playing HE with Luke Cage, or everyone's going to be playing Patriot. So what do? You run Super Scroll to maybe steal their Patriot or whatever. Or back in like the Shuri days when Shuri was just so dominant and there was almost no way to counter it. That's what would have been the 12 win decks, or I guess the infinite decks. That's all that you would see up there is just the best of the best because it's people who just want to win.
Yeah, they're doing a better job now, like getting those decks down. Like even with the Black Bolt thing, like I think that was a little rash, but they did like take that down before people complained about it per se. And Sherry was just like a whole nother monster. But yeah, I do think there's something to be said about, bringing in, and what's going to be fun as creators is we're going to find some deck and it's going to be great to make the content behind it, right? Like, wow, this discard deck ended up working really well with these 2 cards. But then, as creators, we push these decks a bit more and then we see those kind of rise up, and then we'll have to change up our plan again, and it's gonna be this fun kind of back and forth.
Yeah, that's what happens on ladder. I'm like, why is everyone playing a Lockjaw deck all of a sudden? It's that darn Cozy Snap.
I ran plenty against, like the day you did a Patriot Lad video, man. I was just like running full Sarah control. Like, it was glorious. Like it was like, thank you Snapster as well. I was sick too, so it was fantastic. But yeah, definitely gonna be interesting there. Now, kicking it back quickly to a couple decks. I do think Sarah Surfer, Anti-Control, I think this is just a good, solid deck because of Killmonger and Storm and Rogue all being like this catch-all, and it has Power Push, yeah?
Yeah, I like that. I think that's going to be a good deck. Sarah Control, Sarah Surfer,
discard too. I know that discard, if it doesn't have everything go right, it can be a little lackluster, but I feel like over the course of the games, like at the moment, dude, it's pretty damn good.
I feel like discard is good. Are we talking about the Hella discard or?
Yeah. No, the staple APOC Dracula storm lane, swarm it up.
Yeah, I think that'll be good. That'll be solid. I'm seeing a lot more of that lately, and it seems to be consistent, which is what you want. Like decks like Hella, like sometimes they pop off and you just get 8 cubes on ladder and it's great and kind of averages out. Even though you have a negative win rate, you have a high cube win rate. Negative, Hella, can't think of anything else off the top of my head, but like those sort of decks. Yes, decks like these, I feel like your opponent's just going to know when you snap and they're just going to leave and you're not going to get 8 cubes. Yep. You're not going to get 4 cubes. You're going to get 1 or 2. And they're just going to end up winning over the long run because these end up being 5-6 games or matches all in one because there's so many rounds.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting too because people are going to be... So the Infinite is open at the last week of the season. So you can run gold over and over and over to get these infinite tickets. You know, I already brought up the graphic. I'll throw it up again, though. So each time you get gold, you get an infinite ticket and you get these medals, right? And so I kind of like that. So instead of being pressured to only do this, 500 gold and maybe an infinite ticket here or there, you have that. But again, I like that it's free for the Proven Grounds. You can go back to square one. But then also, like, on top of that, you get these medals. And in the reward shop, what I thought was interesting that people I haven't seen highlighted too much is then you can also get tickets there. So, like, it's kind of nice. I am curious how this works. It looks to be a one-time purchase. Is it a weekly reset? I don't know. There's no way they just let you get 1,100,000 mystery variants or whatever. But I do think even if it's like a weekly reset, there's enough there. We just have to see.
Yeah, I guess we don't really know about that. And then, like, is it the first time we get a gold ticket, we get the currency? Or is it every time we hit a gold ticket, we get the currency?
Yeah, I'm curious, too, is if there's going to be, like, okay, if the gold ticket here, right, that is probably never... I don't see that being capped, but like, dude, there's no way you can get 155 green goblins over and over. I just see them, like, I see some of these having like a one-time, like the Avatar clearly is going to.
Yeah, maybe it'll cycle, but this seems like Green Goblin themed, so maybe not. Maybe it's a one-time purchase. Maybe that you can buy the 200 credits several times or the gold tickets several times.
I do like that they have an exclusive variant. That's just like fantastic. Some of the price breakdowns, like the mystery variant and boosters are pretty cheap in comparison to 200 credits for 300 medals.
Yeah, it wasn't the mystery variant was 100?
100 for a mystery variant, dude. I'll be buying the hell out of those.
Yeah, and if you do, like, every time you hit a gold ticket, if you really get that currency, we're going to be rolling in the dough. We're going to get so many. We could just keep doing it. I play this game 8 hours a day. I'm going to have a lot of credits.
And I hope that they continue to expand this shop because I think rewarding players for playing the game is awesome. Like, even if they did collector tokens and make them super expensive, like, I don't care, man. Make them 1,000 medals or whatever. If I'm getting, what is it? The 1,375 medals for infinite wins and 370. And the way that I look at this is that it says up to. And so my thought is, see these little boxes? I think, let's say the 370. I think it's going to be like 70 on this one win. If you get 2 wins, you get 100. And if you get 3 wins, you get 200. If you get them all, that's 370. That's the way it looks divided in my head.
Yeah, that makes sense. It does say up to. It doesn't say earn.
So it doesn't feel as bad if you lose, right? Like if you go to 4 wins on Infinite, dude, and you got nothing, dude, that's a gut punch, right? Yeah. So the medals, I think, are going to come in pretty steadily, and this is probably going to be a really good way to get resources. We're just going to have to see kind of how that flushes out. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk to you about in general, and a good amount of this we're just going to have to just see when it's out, is like cards, specific cards. And I think I have a pretty good one here on the screen. I mean, I think Thor is one of those that just do better in battle mode. We've seen this time and time again. We've battled, you've done tournaments that because of their unpredictability, because of the surprise nature, or other things they bring to the table, they're just better in general. And I have them in kind of some groups. But what are, give me like one, just like right off the cusp that you think is just like a winner.
Colson?
I'm so excited to bring up my man over here. Yeah, dude, such a good card though, yeah?
Yeah, these random cards tend to be pretty solid from what we've tried, just because they can get you some cheeky, you know, cubes that your opponent doesn't expect. Like, oh, there's no way they drew Mjolnir, right? And then boom, you slam it down and you win. That stuff is really, really good. And then like Coulson can give you a really good card. He could also give you not too good of cards. I think it's going to be a fine line, and we'll have a lot more of a sample size once this gets started. But like, he's going with some random stuff that can get cheeky cubes. Is it gonna be better than playing just a consistent deck like Patriot or like High Evolutionary?
I guess that's why, like, I built Rocks and Hawks to begin with, is when we were doing that tournament, I wanted a deck that was, like, fundamentally perfectly sound. So, like, Devil Dino and Darkhawk. But then, like, I had Coulson that just, like, naturally anyway complemented that. So, like, I feel like Coulson Devil is, like, naturally good. But, yeah, you don't want to just, like, put Coulson in there. But I found, like, oftentimes, like, I won a couple matches by doing, like double Gamoras at one point. And, like, just crazy, weird. I think it was Gamora Absorbing Man, right? So, like, that axis. And what he's talking about, too, is, like, just, like, card producers is like, the subject. So, I would say Agent 13, Cable, even Nick Fury, maybe in a ramp deck, at least.
Helicarrier?
Let's not get carried away, all right? No, but honestly, actually, like, in the discard, like, core list, maybe a Helicarrier Collector hybrid would be better in this than it would in ladder compared to, like, consistent discard, I think. That's a good point. And I also think the other kind of subjective card is Intel cards. So, like, Cable is obviously one we just talked about there, but, like, White Queen, I think, is fundamentally amazing.
Kang?
Dude, low key, you think Kang? I think we could see the rise of Kang a little bit, huh?
Kang could be really surprising to like see if they're gonna win, and you might get some cheeky snap cubes. And also, even though they know you have Kang, like you might snap, and they don't are they bluffing or like are they really going through with this? You don't really know. So Kang will be an interesting one.
Who was the guy I went against? Raven in this tournament, and he had Kang, and it was beyond frustrating because, like, no matter what was going on my end, he was snapping all the time, and it was infuriating. Or I would play my, do I play my best play, or do I wait? Because if I play my best play, he'll leave, and there's not ever a good. I actually think Kang is gonna find maybe better value for sure.
I think it'd be a good time to mess around with Kang, but we'll see what happens.
Dude, they got to make his animation faster. I think, cards like Kang will be better. Like surprise cards, that's already good on the ladder. But, you know, I also think, dude, like location MVPs are really going to see a boost too. Like, that's why Storm is so damn good, because you can control with her, but then if you don't like this +5 against a Venom deck location, like you kill it.
Right. Yeah. Location disruption is really good. I feel like you just got to be good at snapping as well. If you see a location that benefits you, you have to snap it. Just take that cube.
It's hard to learn.
Information gathering at the start, because once you get to round 5, it starts doubling your cubes. So before that point, I'm like, okay, like I want to figure out more about their deck. I want to see if they show me that they have a Killmonger so I can play around it. But I'm also going to keep track and like, okay, they don't have a Killmonger, so I can freely play this card, not be worried about it, and kind of snap and stuff like that. So I'd say I'm passive to start, and I start getting more aggressive as I learn more. A lot of mind games. And then if they know that you have a Shang in your deck, but you didn't draw your Shang, your bluffs become even stronger, because they're like, I know he has Shang in his deck. Did he draw it? So bluffing becomes like a big part of it. You could do it on ladder. You could bluff on ladder, but maybe your opponent, you know, doesn't follow through as much. They don't know that you have that card.
That's why I think in-person snap events are going to be so sick, because it's literally poker playing. Like, I'm going to, like, man, I'm just going to, the whole time, like I won't be able to read, dude. You could have won $1 million for all I know, and you just straight face, dude. Yeah, so that is gonna be probably it as far as like decks, cards. A lot of this we just have to like kind of wait and see. The last thing we didn't talk about that I will just say is, holy crap, man, move decks. Not only is the move meta gonna be a lot better, but move decks in particular. Talk about Conquest coming at the perfect time, because I feel like next to like Thanos and some other cards, if you commit to learning move and mastering that deck, it's probably the most rewarding in terms of consistency and throwing off like your opponent.
Yeah, Yeah, I love move decks for that aspect. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I hope it gets to be that deck that is just very rewarding if you have mastered it.
We need more of those. I think we need more decks that, like, if you commit to, it's a lot better. Like, Sarah Control to an aspect, but now it's so popular. But back in the day, like January, if you mastered Sarah Control, people were, like, screwed if they didn't know what was going on. So
I feel like Bounce used to be like that. Kitty came out and I feel like made it a lot more straightforward. But before that, Bounce was fun.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's definitely one up there. So definitely good stuff, man. Thanks for joining me today. I'm sure we will do either more battles leading up to this or just more conversations. If you guys want me to talk to this handsome man in the Maui Gem hat more often, let me know down below in the comments. And yeah, dude, thanks for stopping by.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right, guys, that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it, broken into multiple parts, and you guys are amped for Conquest as well. If there's a bit of advice or something that you want to add, go ahead and drop it down below. Excited to read your reactions to Conquest. As always, guys, until the next one, have a good one, and happy snapping.